I had to kind of take a step back to figure out what was it that I wanted to do. And after being in that baby bubble, I was like, no, this is my calling. So that's when I decided to start the agency, because I knew I have a baby now. I'm settled here in San Diego. So instead of continuing to work as just me freelancing and doing projects here and there, I actually want to start growing a team. I was envisioning something that was greater than just me.
Hello, my beautiful people and listeners of the Be Brand podcast. My guest today is such a treat because she brings the tech, the AI, the personal touch, the expertise, all of that. And we actually became really good friends through the power of personal branding. So we're going to tell that story in a second. But Amanda,
Yes.
welcome, my friend. Would you introduce yourself?
Thank you so much for having me. Yes. So I'm Amanda Benson. I call myself an AI+You expert, because really in the past year since ChatGPT came on the stage, I've just seen the amazing opportunities that lies for female professionals and business owners to leverage it in their business, to grow their brand, and really add that extra stream of income, saving a bunch of time. We all need to do that, right? Yeah. Yep. So, but my background is in business and marketing. I've been working in this space for almost 20 years. So that's a little bit about me.
Amazing. Yeah. Okay. Do you want to tell the story of how we actually connected?
Yeah. So it was, let's see, almost a year ago. Well, we're in February now. And I went to the Mom 2.0 conference in May. And I remember just like being on Instagram, you had commented on a photo that I posted from the event. I was wearing like hot pink slacks and kind of like an orangey, I call it like my Veuve t-shirt, which is like the champagne. So I was wearing the combination of colors that is a part of your brand.
Yeah.
And I think your comment was, hey, are those your brand colors?
Yeah, I was like, are those your brand colors? Like, you're my girl. Because in general, I don't find a lot. I mean, there is people out there that have bright colors, but usually never that exact same combination. Well, what ended up happening is we had a mentor in common, and then we started connecting. And then you ended up being a speaker at my Be Brand Live event in September. You blew everybody's mind. And I'm going to tell you a little story. Originally, you were supposed to be a panelist, and then you came into the Be Brand Academy. You did your AI+You training, and you blew me away. People need to have this training at Be Brand Live. I'm going to give you right now, if you're listening to this podcast, you're going to be blown away, because as a personal branding coach, one of my biggest values is that you stay true to who you are and to your uniqueness. And that is exactly what you brought to the table. So she moved from being a panelist to being a full presenter and a speaker at Be Brand Live, and people loved your presentation. And then that was just the beginning of this friendship.
Oh my gosh, it was so awesome. I was so honored, first of all, to be asked to speak at your event, but going there and meeting all the people in your world, like it was amazing. And I've honestly stayed in contact with a lot of the amazing women that came to the event. So I'm definitely like, this is a yearly thing now. I'm coming back next year.
Well, because we are truly building real community, right?
Amazing.
Like, I think without going too sideways on the topic, I think one of the biggest realizations that I had was that my community now could run on their own. Like, it was this level up of they're not just IT dependent. They're not just connecting with me. My people are now connecting with each other.
Yeah, no, absolutely amazing. In fact, one of the other women who was a panelist, Stephanie, I'm training in her program later this month.
There you go.
And then in April, I'm going to Cassidy's event, which is another woman
my God,
in
I'm
your
so
world.
excited. Yes, I'm going to be speaking too.
So we're going to have to get together. Yeah. So no, a lot of these women have become not only business friends, but actual friends personally as well, where we like touch base weekly. So amazing. Yeah.
I love it. Well, let's get started because we have
Mhm.
a lot to cover. And for those of you listening, I'm going to tell you the way my brain works. I really want to like have Amanda break down for us truly how to leverage AI and software to start and grow your personal brand. Because yes, there is an opportunity to use AI to save all this time, but I see it used so fucking poorly.
Yeah.
As a personal branding coach, it freaking hurts. Like sometimes I'll get an email, I'm like, oh, girl, you need to stop using AI and just talk from your heart. So let's dive in. So give me a little bit of your story because you have a marketing agency. So let's start there. Like, how did you get started? All of that.
So let's go way back. First of all, I grew up in a family. My dad was a software developer from the 80s. So literally like in its infancy. And he would always bring me in on all the projects that he was working on and the clients that he had. So I think already there I had like kind of an affinity for tech and understanding how these types of systems worked. So come, what was it, 2005, 2006, when Facebook kind of like came onto the space. In fact, I had been on, it was like the Swedish version of MySpace. I don't know if I mentioned this, but
Wow.
I'm Swedish American. So back then when I was a teenager, I lived in Sweden. So I was on this platform, I think it was called Lunar Storm, and it was the prequel before Facebook. And already there, I started seeing how, like, oh my gosh, like this, when you grow a circle, it doesn't really matter where it is and whether it's in person or online. If you're growing a circle, you have influence. And so, no matter what it is that you're looking to do, whether it's have your voice be heard, or you're selling a product, or you're promoting an event, it doesn't matter. Like, if your people are there, you should be talking about it there. And so, I think very early on, my mom saw what I was doing there at Lunar Storm. And then on Facebook, when that came to be, she connected me with some of her friends who were running small local businesses, and I started freelancing already when I was still in high school.
I
And
did
this
not
was
know
long
that.
before, yeah, this was long before Facebook business pages even existed. So they were using their own personal profiles. But hey, you want somebody to come to the opening of your little dance studio? Tell your friends about it. And what better place than a free community like Facebook? So that's kind of how I got started. But again, was back in the olden days when
Yeah.
social media was so new, it was kind of frowned upon. Getting into college, I was like, I felt this affinity, like I was better at the science subjects than, the fluffy,
The
whatever,
soft skills.
social studies subjects. But I was also like, I don't know. I had grown up being like, oh, you can become a doctor or a lawyer or a teacher. And I'm like, science, that's like becoming a doctor. So I definitely don't want to do that. I'll just study business and economics because seems like something that I can apply to anything, right? I can still leave all the doors open. So I got into business and economics and further into marketing. And it was also the very early days of sustainability coming in as a part of or corporate social responsibility, entering the business scene. I think I've just always been into the new stuff, right? So I was like,
Yeah.
social media and sustainability. I just really saw, I was like, with social media comes more transparency,
Yeah.
which really, really encourages organizations to do better. They
Yeah.
better because
Oh
otherwise
my
they're going to
God.
get.
I feel people say so many things bad about social media, but I think social media, it has been
Yeah, no, I mean,
like
it's a
history
chance.
changing in so many ways.
Yeah, it's a chance for us as normal people to amplify our voices by coming together. And we see that happening
Yeah.
all the time now. But 10, 15 years ago, that was still very new. It was a very scary area for these big businesses. But thanks to me having this very specific, like, focus niche, I got some amazing opportunities to intern at Sweden's biggest, most successful communication agencies up in Stockholm, which is our capital.
Okay.
So I was there for a couple years as an intern, and then I got my first job. And this, like I said, this was like the biggest, most successful communication agency. I remember feeling like I was in Mad Men, like literally. It was like that. That's when I was able to work with these big brands all of them Swedish, by the way, but IKEA, H&M, Spotify. And it was a great opportunity to understand how we build brands and manage brands on a very, very high level, right? This was investor relations. It was a financial communications firm, which means you're really dissecting and looking at, how do we keep this organization growing and projecting these amazing things on the future, but also make sure that we keep the brand nice and clean, away from crisis, away from, the potential threats, which in our case, I ended up working on the CSR or sustainability team. And our job was to really make the organizations look good from the perspective of their social
sustainability.
Yeah. And so that was really fun. I mean, seeing how the trickle down effect of coaching these teams that run these global brands, and then have them implement strategies and see that trickle down effect that is literally like all across the globe. That was amazing.
I love this because in general, when it comes to personal branding, right, we never really talk about like, and I'm talking personal branding when it comes to women entrepreneurs or solopreneurs. We don't necessarily talk about crisis control.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I believe is we don't talk about it because we are not seeing it as a huge company, but like everything either brings you closer to that ideal brand, or like even one post can tint how somebody sees you, right?
I don't know if the listeners have this insight when it comes to business at that level, but I know that it was shocking and to me, even though I had gone to school for business and economics, when I started working for this corporate communications firm, understanding the role of the investors and how the businesses, really the companies, are looking to please the investors more so than the clients. So the people coming in and buying the t-shirts in an H&M shop, sure, like they need to be happy. But essentially the conversation was always about, how do we make the investors happy? How do we make them feel safe in investing in our business? Because that's where the big money is. And that's, you could view as a personal brand, you could view your investors as those strategic partners that you have. It's your reputation amongst your peers, the ones who would be ready to back you up, right? Because if you lose that, if you're this little lonesome, you lose momentum. Yeah.
I'm going to say this is so in tune with, okay, so we are both speaking at the Creative Marketing Summit, and I'm sure you probably already submitted your presentation.
Yeah.
This goes back to core value. This goes back to your core values as a personal brand. And I think that because a lot of people that come into business the way we know it now, they actually do not have that background in big business. They don't understand how all these things come together, which that's kind of my job, right? Like when people come into my Be Brand Academy and I'm like, hey, this is the reason why we need to lay down your core values. This is the reason why we need these strategies. And they're like, what the fuck is she talking about? But then as you start growing, you actually go back to that and you're like, oh, and it's so funny that you're bringing it up because okay, this is kind of sideways, but I'm like, I'm actually really limiting the guest that I actually bring into the podcast because I want the people that come into the podcast, my listeners, right? If they hire you, Amanda, right? Or they hire somebody, maybe they hire Abby or somebody that was in the podcast, it needs to be aligned with my core values.
No, absolutely. I think that is absolutely right. Yeah, you bringing that up because that was a lot of the work that we would coach these big global enterprises on really distilling what their core values were. And then taking that in turn and making promises, making projections for the future, because that's what investors want to see. Where do you see yourself in 1, 5, 10 years?
Oh my God.
Because they want to know that you're heading in the direction that they want to go. And so why don't we do that ourselves? Why don't we do that with our personal brand?
Let's really back because I think, okay, this is so resonating with me, but I think for the women that specifically listen to this podcast, I think the biggest lesson here is long-term vision. Long-term vision and how you're going to stay true to yourself and to what you want to create.
Absolutely.
let's actually get into the next step, because so you learn from all these amazing companies.
Yeah.
And then you move to the States, right?
Well, so let me finish that. So when I was in that space, like I said, I found a very specific niche. I was the sustainability social media girl. And I managed to, with personal branding there, find such a unique space that I was asked to speak on stages already in my early 20s. However, I was in this tiny country and tiny space, Stockholm, Sweden. I don't even know how many people live in Stockholm, but in all of Sweden, there's like 10 million people. It's about the size of LA County, right? So quickly, I started to become recognized, like out on the streets and stuff. And I remember not feeling ready for that. So in a way, even though I ended up taking a break before continuing to build my personal brand per se in that way, I had experience early on. But at that point, I was like, no, I don't want to be known for anything specifically right now because I'm still finding myself.
Yeah.
I still want to just float around. I want to try different things, which honestly is also, I've come full circle now, almost 40 years old, in that what I've learned through all these years of self-discovery is that I'm a manifesting generator. I am all over the place. Okay. So that's what I just
But
have to
we are
embrace.
not. It's like,
and anyone
I think-
anyone who follows me, just be prepared. Okay. Sometimes I'm going to be a little squirrely because what really is the essence of me is that I am super curious. I am so curious about everything.
Okay. Did you know that curiosity is one of my core values?
Oh my gosh, I love it. It is one of mine too. Curiosity, education. Like I can't help myself. I have to constantly just like absorb. Now I feel ready to also share because throughout all these years, so I left corporate because I just felt like there was still more for me to discover. I wanted to discover myself. So I mentioned before, I'm Swedish American. I had always had this dream of living in New York. I don't really know why. I grew up on the Swedish countryside, so maybe it was just that I wanted to do the exact opposite of where I came from. So I just left everything. I did not have a job or anything like that. I think I had $20,000 saved up or something like that, and I just moved to New York.
That's $20,000 more than I had when I left Argentina and I went to Spain.
Yeah, I had nothing. I did not have a place to stay. I did not know any people, but I spent 18 months on Manhattan, got an apartment, found a bunch of friends, started a business, in fact, with a couple of ladies there and hosted a few successful events. So, and again, it was still within marketing and communications. I was doing a lot of work at that time because there is a large Swedish presence in New York City. So what we did was me and two girlfriends, we created an agency that was all about merging the two. So business in New York with business in Sweden, different initiatives.
Ooh, okay.
So we did kind of like TED Talks, and we did it on the 5 major areas of like industries in New York, which is like fashion, media, tech, I think food. I can't remember now, but it was like the 5 major.
And
it
how long
was so
ago was
appreciated. This was 10 years ago.
Okay.
So, but it was so much fun. And we were just having fun.
And just so you know, like sometimes we say, oh, that was 10 years ago, but like 10 years is nothing. It's a blink of an eye.
Again, so we did something very, very, I would say niche. And I'm going to tell you guys a little secret here, but so what we did was we created the concept for this event, right? And we found some really cool speakers. It was actually one of the first times that Meta wanted to, I can't remember what the business was called that created the headset for Meta. It was a business before and then Meta bought them. But they asked us if they could demo their headset at our event, like virtual headset. So we had them there. We had some game designers. It was one of the girls that was running this event with us. Her husband owned this huge like gaming company. So they spoke. So we kind of like pulled friends and stuff like that, but really high level speakers. And then we sent personal invitations. Like I'm talking like, letter, like beautiful letterhead in, beautiful envelopes. And we sent it to all the major people in the city, like to their office, addressed by like their name. again, digital was already a thing, but it was also already something that people would ignore. Oh, another email. Oh, another message, So we were like, how do we stand out and make this seem exclusive, right? And it worked out. We had a couple hundred people show
Amazing.
up, and it was like very high level people from the biggest companies in New York City, Manhattan at the time. So yeah,
And then, so when did you open your agency? Because you still have your
yeah.
agency, correct?
Yes. So I didn't open my agency. I continued to freelance and stuff like that. And then I moved to California. I'm in Southern California, San Diego. I moved here in 2015, and I honestly took a break. Well, no, I did work for another sustainability company. I did their marketing here for a bit, but I took a little bit of a break from the whole agency side. And then once I had my first son in 2018, and 2017, sorry, 2018, I was just getting this hunger to get back in the game. I was like, no, I know that this is what I want to do. Because I was burnt out, I think, after New York and working all these different agencies and stuff like that. I had to kind of take a step back to figure out what was it that I wanted to do. And after being in that baby bubble, I was like, no, this is my calling. So that's when I decided to start the agency, because I knew I have a baby now. I'm settled here in San Diego. So instead of continuing to work as just me freelancing and doing projects here and there, I actually want to start growing a team. I was envisioning something that was greater than just me. So that's when I started my agency, and it first went by The Rise Factory, which I do not know what I was thinking back then, naming it that. I knew that I liked like Rise, and I think I thought about Rise Collective, but that was already taken. So I was like, oh, The Rise Factory, because we're literally like creating all these successful brands. Yeah. But everybody always thought it was the Rice Factory. Like
rice, like eating rice. Yeah, that's what I thought. I was like,
so I was like, no, done with that. We used that name for a few years, and then now it's What's New Media, which again is an homage to me just being a manifesting generator and realizing that what's new is always what I'm into.
Yeah. Okay. And these, okay.
And that ties into AI.
AI, because AI literally, I don't even think it's the new thing anymore. Now it's here to stay and stuff like that. But I actually have a question for you, because you went from having the agency and I want something that is greater than myself. But then I feel like in the last year, at least since I've met you, right? Now you're kind of coming back to these personal brand, to you, to having been the entrepreneur, you, and stuff like that. So what kind of like, what happened? Like what was maybe your revelation, or maybe it's a stage of life? Where are you with that?
Yeah, it's multiple reasons actually. So when I started the agency, I didn't necessarily have the vision that I was going to be working with coaches and course creators and stuff. But that kind of ended up becoming the niche for What's New Media. And so I've worked since 2018, so 6 years now, that has been the main types of clients that I have served. And typically I've worked with a select few clients and almost in the role as a fractional CMO. Now bringing along my team. So a plug and play marketing team for other personal brands. And from the start, when I started working, it was actually this meditation guru that I started working with in 2018. I remember thinking to myself, oh, I could do this, or I could do this better. But I had a little baby, or Quentin, my oldest, he was about 1. And I also knew, we were starting a family. I knew I was going to have at least one other kid, which I now do, Vigo. But so I was in this phase of like, because I also saw it does take, like, if you want to take a personal brand to that level, which I am aiming for now, it does take a lot of work. You need to show up. You need to be able to commit to consistently showing up. And I did. So even if I knew, I was like, I'm going to do it at some point, I also knew that at that very moment, it was not the time to do it, because I was very focused still on being with my babies. And I mean, a lot of you listeners are going to know
your business. Like the work would be done by somebody else.
Yeah. So my focus those first few years was honestly to scale my business to a point where I was stepping in as the strategist. I was the one coming up with the vision and the ideas, but I built a team that were then handling the fulfillment of it.
Yeah, like the
Uh,
graphics or whatever. Yeah.
exactly. And while, that was really fun, but it also builds complexity, right? And I don't want people to get this wrong. I love, 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 love my team, the
Well,
people that I've
yeah,
worked
but
with through the years.
when you have employees, there is a completely different
Hmm.
set of challenges. You need to rise to
Yeah.
also be a leader and handling
And
situations. And
I had positioned myself in a way where I was the person connected with everyone. I was the number one contact person for the client and typically also their team, because they would have a team of people, their business ops manager and their maybe VA who was doing stuff for marketing and stuff like that. All these people would come to me, and then I would have to turn around and go, delegate to my team. And I was like,
yeah,
okay, this is all becoming very messy. I don't see myself scaling this. This is not
yeah, that
how
was you were the bottleneck in your
yeah.
business. Hello, girlfriend. Let's talk about money. This is the thing. Your income will triple when you build a strong personal brand that is 100% you. When you speak to your ideal client, to their problems, their desires, when you learn how to create content that actually converts into clients, not just posting for posting, not posting just inspirational and all this educational content that actually is not getting you clients. This is exactly what I will be teaching you in my upcoming Ultimate Personal Branding Bootcamp. If you are ready to stop being the best kept secret and actually have clients reaching out to you, having people asking you to talk at their events, to be on their panels, to be on their podcasts, and to truly create a reliable income through your personal brand and business, this is the training for you. Head over to attigreenspan.com/branding bootcamp and register. We start April 22nd.
So even if I had put all these systems in place and had all these people, I was like, this is just not how I want to continue to grow and how I want to continue to show up. I had also started to feel, I was like, I'm sitting on all of this experience now and all of these solutions, all of these templates. I had stepped into many businesses that honestly, like I view myself as a little bit of a vigilante and just like an anarchist in the space of digital marketing, because I have helped so many clients, in fact, most of them who have had awful experiences working with other people in this space before, whether that be agencies or professionals who have stepped into their business or organization and honestly taken advantage of them. And I was
Well,
so
because the
sick.
agency world, it's crazy, crazy,
Yeah.
crazy.
So many bros out
So
there who
when,
promise you the world.
yeah, so when did you see this whole new thing with AI and you were, okay, this is what I want to bring into the world?
Well, so I was actually working, my major client last year, I was working with him and I was helping him reinvent his brand. He's in real estate and ChatGPT launched and I played around with it over, the course of last Christmas. It was kind of break. We were up in the mountains and I'm just like, okay, I'm going to dive into this. And I came back in January and I'm like, Blake, I know how we found your blue ocean. You're going to be the AI expert in real estate. So
I love that.
so that's what we did. It was super successful. We immediately launched a lead magnet. He had a group on Facebook. He grew like crazy running ads. He now has a program. So he is a real estate coach. He has a successful real estate business and he started coaching a few years ago. So he's still doing that. And it was kind of the same thing. Like through that, I was having so much fun with it. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I can apply this to all of the stuff that I do. And I can
Well, and
create systems to teach women, like especially women. I want to empower the girls out there, my ladies, to master these things that might feel complex and overwhelming. That's the
yeah.
thing. I've figured out ways, systems, processes, templates, and ways of using these softwares and using AI to really be able to build your business and your brand online in no time at all and without breaking a sweat.
I love that. So, because we are at 30 minutes now, and I want these women to actually take at least 3 takeaways of how they can get started. Because I feel like you not only saw the gap with your client, you are bringing all this experience on building high-level brands to the little people, to the people like the coach, the girl that just came out of like life coaching school, and like she's trying to build a business and she's trying to differentiate herself, or the girl that is a realtor and is like, okay, so I'm going to ChatGPT and ChatGPT is telling me 3 tips for selling your first home. Okay, that doesn't make you any different. So how does the person that maybe she's already in business, she's growing her personal brand, what is the first step for her to use AI plus you, plus herself, to really stand out in social media, through her email, on her brand, all of that?
Well, the first thing you want to do is follow me on Instagram at
Yeah.
What's New Amanda.
Shameless plug.
Yeah.
No, but that's like a shameless plug in the best fucking way. That was great.
No, but honestly, like you said, we have limited time on this podcast. So I'm looking forward to sharing a lot more free content on how to get started over there. But if I'm going to summarize real quick, if you haven't already jumped in and started using ChatGPT, there are many other services. We have Bard, we have Jasper. There's so many different AIs that you can use.
We were using Jasper the first year of AI.
Yeah.
And it was great to kind of format things, but ChatGPT blows them all out of the water, in my opinion. What is your opinion?
No, absolutely. ChatGPT is what I use. I use Jasper also just to play around with it. Last year, I'm not subscribed anymore because again, I
didn't love it. I felt like it was very overpriced for what they were delivering.
Yeah. And then also you can get started with ChatGPT for free. So I always want to make things very accessible. Just understanding that a lot of people are just going to want to get on board and try things out before they commit, right? So I don't like this thing of recommending a lot of clunky and expensive softwares and tools, because there is so much out there literally for free that can get you started.
And now this is the time we were talking out of camera earlier, and you were like, literally, this was meant for the girl that maybe she's just starting her business. She's really scrappy. She doesn't have a lot of money to invest, right? But she has the vision to build $1 million brand.
Build a team of tools and softwares before you start building a team of people. Because again, from my own experience, people are awesome, but you're going to have to do the work to take care of those people too, right? And you have to train them. So before you even start thinking in that direction, really take the time, invest in yourself in learning these tools and systems, because not only is that going to empower you and it's going to push out the time before you have to actually put money down on growing a team or outsourcing the work, but it's also going to equip you to really understand what it is that you're doing so that you don't get taken advantage of when the time comes that you're hiring an expert.
Okay, I love that you're saying this. One of my biggest thing with my clients when they come into the View Brand Academy, they're like, this is great, but I don't know why I need to learn all this, because eventually I want to have somebody to do all this for me. I'm like, great, hire that person, have them go through the academy. This is the thing. You cannot supervise what you don't understand. So if you don't understand content, if you don't understand social media, I've seen these over and over and over with agencies where they're pumping content that looks pretty, right? They put your photo in it, 3 tips to do this, 3 ways of doing that, and nobody is engaging with their content. It resonates to nobody's seeing them.
No, that is literally what has happened to the majority of the clients that I stepped in and worked with. They had spent, we're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
with experts that were leading them down a rabbit hole that was like, it was just a complete
Not
waste,
only
to be honest.
I actually have my own experience through this with a very known marketing company in the online space. We spent about 20, I don't know if you know this story. We spent about
No.
25 grand in ads.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, girl, like
Yeah.
this is like horrible.
No,
Let's not
so
even go
that,
there.
and that's honestly, like, to tie it in again, shameless plug, but that is everything that we're going to be doing in my new Making Magic membership is all about equipping you to understand. And again, you don't need to become the ultimate expert on all of these things, but you need to have a grasp and you need to know the things to look out for so that you
Yes.
can ask the right questions. When you're looking for somebody to take over your Facebook ads, you know what to look for, the right questions to ask, and
Okay.
how to vet them. Yeah.
Funny thing is, after all that bullshit this year, now I am going through a Facebook ads course. I'm not going to do the ads myself, but I'm like, okay, I need to understand a lot of this terminology. I need to understand what I'm going to be paying for.
Well, girl, off camera later, but I have a Facebook ads girl who is amazing. So
Okay,
I'll
I
give
want
you,
her.
I'll give you her
Okay,
contact.
okay. let's okay, so they get started by actually learning some of these tools. How do they get started with AI and you? What are the best practices? But also I kind of want to talk a little bit about, you talk a lot about mini funnels and
Yeah.
how can people actually make more money with digital products and how they can leverage all of these. So
Well,
how
so
all of this comes together.
I'm actually thinking maybe the best thing to offer your community here is the recorded workshop that we did within your program. So let's
Ooh,
offer that
yes.
to the people down here as a freebie, because that
Oh
is
my God, I love that.
that
Yes,
is
let's
where
do
we
that.
talked about how to get
Yes.
started with ChatGPT. Yeah.
Well, and this is the thing, you guys. I already told you at the beginning, this blew my mind. And I'm super picky because obviously I teach personal branding. I help women bring their uniqueness. And the way you did, I'm using it. I'm
Yeah.
using it. Everything we did together, I'm using it on ChatGPT. And I literally, like, it was life changing.
To tie it in with what we just talked about, though, I think the important thing is your approach and your mindset when it comes to using AI. It is not your opportunity to just like slack off and just outsource everything to an AI, no matter what software you're using. That you still have to be the manager. You need to have quality control, whatever you're creating with AI. And again, unless you're looking to run your channels as some type of a robot and never share any of your personal story, then yeah,
That's
fine.
where I was going.
Crank it all out with ChatGPT. But again, don't expect your brand to be growing and people to really be connecting with you if you're not putting yourself into it. But that goes the same. If you hired a social media manager and
Yes.
you didn't share about you and they're just like automatically
Trying to
posting
figure
stuff.
out
Yeah.
who you are.
So it's really the
And I
same
think
thing.
there is such a value to what you just shared, which is this. In order for ChatGPT to create something for you or to spill something for you, the ideas need to be original. The
Oh,
ideas are
absolutely.
still coming from you. And I think that is one of the biggest issues that I see with people. Like some also, and I don't know if this is still happening, but at the beginning, I used to see these emails were like, and the unicorns and the dusty fairies and like there was this excitement on the way things were verbalized and I'm like, I know this person and you don't talk like that.
Yeah, no, I usually compare ChatGPT to like having an intern or having an assistant, right?
Ooh.
Really see it as your right hand. They can do the first drafts. They can like help out with all of this supportive work so that you're not sitting there for hours creating the structure of a workbook or whatever. But that doesn't mean that it's done there. No, you're still the one proofing. You're the one doing the final touches. You're the one doing the run through. But again, so it goes both ways. It's like, don't abuse AI in the sense of letting AI just take care of everything. But on the other hand, if you're not using AI, you're still wasting your time spending,
Yes.
a couple hours on something that AI could now do for you in a few seconds.
Oh my God.
So there's the balance there,
One of the things, and I don't know if I share this with you, how I am using AI is when I have one-on-one clients and we do VIPs, I do these interviews with them and I bring everything out. And this used to take me hours and hours and hours because I would interview them. Then I would go back through their calls and kind of write down what I heard. And then from there, I would create brand strategies, content pillars, ideas. I would present them in our actual VIP day. And then from there, we would co-create. Whoa, that process that used to take me days got down to like hours.
Yeah. No, it's amazing. We do the same. Client work has been reduced. And really what I say, I guess it depends on your personality, but I'm really going to encourage people, not in a stressed out way. Like I don't want people to fall into the hustle culture, but I also want to encourage you to be more you. Take this opportunity to not get stuck in the busy work. Use AI as that assistant that takes care of that so that you can spend your value, the core of you, your amazing brain with ideas and experiences to figure out these bigger problems and bigger questions. And whether that is you taking a walk and just pondering your core values, or if it's you jumping on another call with a potential client, like it's making space for you to actually be more of you and show up more authentically. So done the right way, it's an amazing way to like almost run a business as if you have a team, even if you're still that solopreneur getting started.
I love that. Let me ask you this, because you kind of went hibernated
Yeah.
for like a month and a half,
Mhm.
and you birthed several products and several things that I'm blown away by. Now, my people here in the podcast know I don't promote anybody I don't truly fucking believe in. That was actually a conversation we had earlier out of camera. Like only people that are aligned with our core values and that their work is like absolutely top notch. But you came up with all these ideas based on needs of people. Can you
Yes.
share a little bit of that and how you're solving some of the problems that you saw in the industry from watching it from somebody that grew these $1 million brands, bringing it to the little people like us, right? Like the multi six-figure entrepreneur that is like maybe running a business, her and one VA and maybe one assistant.
Absolutely. Yes. So what I decided, I actually settled on this about 6 months ago, that I felt the best way to serve this community was to create a membership, because so much is happening in this space with AI that creating a course now, 2 months from now, that might just be outdated. So what I'm launching now is the Making Magic membership. And the name for it came from, first it was modern magic, because I'm like, what better way to describe both like AI, it feels like magic, right? But also what it can
I'm
create.
Gonna be there. I will be there because I want to stay relevant, right? That's the thing though. If we are in this space, we need to stay relevant.
Absolutely. And so that's what we're going to be doing. So there is going to be some pre-recorded content that I release on a monthly basis, but then there's also going to be 2 live opportunities. So 60 to 90 minutes twice a month where we can meet with the peers and we can really have a discussion about what's going on. I'll do a little bit of training and then again, open up for any of the women who have questions or need hands-on help with using AI.
Because women are generally more resistant to tech.
Yeah. And the thing is, I've gotten this question because I've actually worked with a lot of male clients before, and they're like, why are you excluding me? Like, why would you want to exclude 50% of your potential clients? And I'm like, no, like it's important to me to create a safe space where these women can come. Women, even in business, the way that we run our business and the hurdles we have,
so
maybe juggling a family and your business. Yeah, it's different. And I want to create a really safe space where you can come and you feel comfortable asking the questions you need to ask, or bringing up, because we're going to cover personal life too. Yeah, AI is not just women, for business.
Well, women, we do not compartmentalize. That is part of the thing. Okay, so you have the membership, but you also are dropping like something that has to do with digital products. And I kind of wanted you to talk about that because I think that it's something that everybody wants to do. They start their business they're like, oh, I want to have passive products, but then they never get there.
Yes. And again, I've seen this abused so many times, and I feel like it's kind of like there's this new wave with the what's it called, the MRR,
Oh my God, don't even get me started.
Yeah. So that's why I wanted to put this out. I have I call it a quick and dirty magic mini funnel course. It's all about learning how to create a lead magnet, which is how you get people on your email list, create your first digital product or service, and then setting everything up. We call it a funnel. It's how you get people from your Instagram page all the way to actually purchasing what it is that you've created. So I've created this mini course. I'm actually doing a workshop next week, but I know that's going to be before this episode comes out. But everything will be still available in this mini course. It's completely free. It has tutorials. It will have the recording of the workshop, and it has a 20 plus page workbook.
Mm-hmm. And we're going to have both links for you guys. We are going to have a link to the AI+You class that she did inside of the academy. You also get to see what being inside of the academy is. And then we're also going to have a link for you guys to get these funnel mini course. I think it's so important for our people to really understand there is so many ways to monetize their personal brand. And
I want to add there. Yeah. And I think this class is valuable for if you're the mom still at home with your baby nursing and you are looking for a way to add an income stream. It's for her just as much as it is for the woman who is a couple years into business, but you're seeing just like me, oh, I want to add this other level, another income stream that maybe is not your brick and mortar or is not this like very high touch way of making money, a more passive way. And then again, it's also for the more seasoned entrepreneur who might need to understand what to expect from service providers building these systems. So
I love that.
So again, it's a very like quick run through of the things, the components that you need in order to build your digital products or services business. Yep.
I love it. Oh my God. This call was packed with wisdom. I think that like literally hearing your story, I think that there was, again, right, so much wisdom on what you brought to the table. I am so grateful for you. I can't wait for, say it again, Making Magic.
Making Magic membership.
Making Magic membership. I think it's going to be amazing. The women that you are going to have in there, because the women that you attract are amazing.
I'm so excited.
This is going to, well, and again, core values, community, right? That is like a very important value for me. Anything that is community where women are supporting each other. So I can't wait to support you. And would you tell everybody where they can find you?
Yes. So the best place to connect with me is on Instagram. I'm at What's New Amanda. So that's where I hang out all the time. And then obviously the links in the show notes will be a great place for us to get connected and for you to just take my products or what I offer for a little test run. But I want to leave, and I want to leave your audience with this. It's not rocket science. It's not. So please, like, come into my world and I will help you demystify all of this, because I think in many times it's put out there and made way more complicated than it needs to be. So
I love that.
Okay, I just want to say one last thing. Ladies, it's not rocket science. It really is simple if you break it down in each of the components. So we're talking funnels, we're talking creating your first lead magnet, your first digital product or service, and then putting it all in a funnel and blowing it up with content marketing. It does not have to be complicated. I literally have a roadmap for you. So I really hope that you take advantage of this opportunity. I know that you can all go out there and be your own amazing personal brands.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you so much.